Welcome everyone to Q&A session number 9, and my name is Risto Kantonen. I'm a TVP supporter from Finland.
Hi, I'm Michael. I'm a POC for Los Angeles.
Maya, ladies first.
Okay. Hi, I'm Maya. I'm POC for Croatia.
And my name is Sasha. I'm POC for Slovenia. Before we start, thank you, Michael, for being here. We have a fresh face after a long while, so not just me and Risto and the rest. So welcome.
Welcome.
Thanks. I don't know how fresh I look, but I feel fresh.
Okay. With that, I guess we can get started. And the first question comes from Gumok, Czech Republic. Had Jacque and Roxanne made construction plans for buildings and machines to so much detail that they are ready for manufacturing, or do we need some additional architects and designers to finalize their work? We consulted admin@thevenusproject.com, and the answer from that source is as follows. At the moment, there are rough construction designs for some of the buildings. There is much more work to be done. An example, to complete the fully detailed construction designs. In order for a professional to help, he or she would need to understand the Venus project in depth. Only then his or her contribution would be valuable, as time and efforts would be invested optimally. And the next question comes from Leigh, Atlanta. I stand behind this project wholeheartedly because I would rather live in a world such as Venus than my existing one. So my question is, how do I get people to listen and get involved? How can I get them interested without them blowing me off?
Hello, Leigh. Yeah, it's not easy, honestly. It's not easy. It gets easier with education. So the more you know about this direction, the more you know about the project, the more you know about people and human behavior and all that, the easier it gets. But it's never easy. So a couple of things that we're gonna cover, and it's generally good for basically whatever you're trying to convey to people, is try and speak to them on their terms. So basically try and find some common ground between you and the person that you're talking to and the ideas of a resource-based economy. Maybe if the person is a designer, try and talk about the design aspect of how designs today are inadequate because of because they're not useful for a lot of things that they could be, or things like that. So try and use their expertise, or try to talk on their behalf. And then also another thing that I would like to stress is that don't hold on to your to the idea that all your friends are going to come along and really support you, because that's what usually doesn't happen. It's great if it does, but it usually doesn't. Same goes for family. Bear in mind that people have been in this system for so long that it's hard to step out of the box and kind of see it for what it really is. So it might take some time. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you can go first.
Oh, I was just going to say that, yeah, appealing to their values. I mean, we all want such similar things, but we just have different strategies to achieve them. And unfortunately, not everyone is able to understand as many fields as this covers, from communication to behavior to politics to economics. All those factors kind of play into how the world works, and some people understand things in a slightly different way. So talking to them again in their terms, as you said, is very important, and not disagreeing with them, as we're often trained to do, because they are right coming from their background and information. So that's an important factor to understand as well, not to force this on people.
I would like to say that disagreeing is fine, but don't show it. Try to. If you disagree, and then you might say that I used to be like that too. Identification tends to help. But I would like to give the example of a tree to talk a little bit about conditioning. If you think about a tree, the longer it has grown, the further its roots reach and the stronger they have become. And what does that have to do with conditioning? Well, people's values and behavior, the longer they have been conditioned into those values and behavior, the stronger those become their identity. And someone who has been brought up in a very self-centric and competitive, profit-oriented environment for, say, 40 years, might not be able to grow out of, profiteering. It's it has become so large part of their identity that it is too painful to even think about living without that. And I would say that before you even start considering if you can help someone understand this direction better, I would suggest to always evaluate their background by asking questions such as what do they think about politics, or the employment situation, whatever the areas that come to your mind that have to do with the social system and the seeming inadequacies of that system. And also the TVP Foundation course is a great platform for learning about human behavior, and as human behavior is a very important part of what we're trying to do here, it is also thus very important to learn about human behavior and what factors shape our behavior to the extent that it has been conditioned into us. Also, keep in mind that people come about as fast as they can, and not a day earlier. In most cases, this means that today's system needs to light a campfire. Everyone needs their very own campfire under their asses, so they feel the biosocial pressures of the system. This can mean unemployment, homelessness, getting hugely indebted to bank or some person, and to that extent also it's important to understand that social change doesn't come about from or through the intelligence or reason of man. It is forced upon by the environment. For example, if you look at women's rights movement or blacks' rights movement, they didn't come about from intelligence and reason. They were fought for, which is it is unfortunate, but man is a stupid animal, and it seems that we only tend to learn from when we have to, or we tend to change only when the environment forces that change.
I would like to.
Okay.
If I could just add something real quick in regards to trying to influence other people, obviously we're not going to be able to influence everyone to the extent that we can spend more time with someone. We have more of a chance, but obviously, just having one conversation with someone, you shouldn't have this expectation that you're going to be able to influence them to a great degree. So, just to take pressure off yourself. Don't try to focus too hard on, being disappointed or your expectations. Just, we're constantly trying to educate ourselves and other people.
That's right. I just wanted to add that the best way actually to get people involved and interested is to have some kind of project or street actions where they can really truly be part of learning. It may be movie screening or lectures about TVP and resource-based economy, or translating or proofreading a book, or part of the website. There are many different ways in which you can make some real project that people can get involved with. And I strongly recommend to watch last week's seminar with Sean and Sasha, where they talked about what can you, me, do as a TVP supporter.
Okay.
It's easy to kind of blame other people and say, oh, other people are stupid, they don't understand and all that. But if you're communicating with people and you're not being able to get across the information that you know, that's kind of a problem with you as well. So in order to change other people, we need to change ourselves first, because we're not good enough at doing that yet. We're not doing it already.
Exactly. First, question yourself first and foremost. And I would like to add that there are no dumb people, there are no smart people, there are no talented people. There are only people who are products of their environment. So if you were born and raised in an environment where you did not have access to a broad frame of relevant education or information, you might also behave in the way that you see in other people. So try to take that into account. Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
Next question comes from Gravedigger, Bârlad, or I don't know how that's pronounced, but yeah, from Romania. Will anyone, regardless of education, be allowed to enter the new RBE cities, provided they take the required educational courses afterwards for accommodation and integration? Well, since it is impossible to conclude what you mean by RBE cities, I'm going to cover the three possible aspects of this that I can think of. First, let's talk about the experimental research and development cities that are part of TVP's aims and proposals, and I would advise you to check the aims and proposals section on the website, and that will be linked to the description of this video later on. So in those experimental, or at least in the first experimental R&D city, people will be selected based on their competence, meaning that the people who can most contribute to the progress of the transition phase are going to be accommodated or housed in those cities. So, but if we talk about entering in terms of visiting, then it's possible that people outside of the city would be actually welcome to visit the city to see some of the concepts and how they work. It would most likely be an educational city as well. So, and then if we go a little bit further in the transitional phase, which would mean that we would have these cities in different locations around the world, then depending on the goals of each city, people would be selected based on their competence, and perhaps even, you know, normal citizens, so to speak, could very well be living. And eventually, of course, everyone will be living in the transitional cities. And then if we go even further, when resource-based economy will be realized, then those that want to live in the cities that provide the maximum utility and freedom for people would live in those cities. But those who do not wish to live in cities could live outside as they do today. And yeah, I think that covers that.
I think I want to just add that I don't think that we're going to have a shortage of people who would want to be in those cities. So I think that there would definitely be people that would have the motivation to actually do something in those cities, and so you'd always have people that would want to contribute anyway.
Sure. Yeah.
Which transitions nicely into the next question.
Yeah, so number 4, if the test city is for mainly education and as work in progress prototype / vision, will the members of the city be professionals with a high level of contribution to the final model? If so, how will the city deal with lazy people? This is from Himon, London.
Yes, so in regards to the first part of the question, in the beginning phase of a transition system, yeah, we would be much more small, locally based, depending on the resources that we would have available. That would determine our carrying capacity, both of people and anything else, equipment and all of that. So as the system grows, obviously more people will be allowed to participate, but yes, in the beginning we would have to be more selective about who is there and participating. Obviously, we would want people to come and visit and check out how it works, and we would have, you know, webcams up all the time. People could constantly be monitoring how it is, but as far as being physically present, it would have to be somewhat selective, yes. But in regards to dealing with lazy people, well, we believe that, first of all, there would be a lot less of that. Laziness is a behavior that is caused by lack of information, opportunities, resources, things like that, and in this system, it's a scarcity, competition-based system, in which case people don't have access to a lot of the things that they need. But as we're trying to increase that, provide abundance and more of those things for all people, we believe that the incentive for laziness would be greatly diminished.
Yeah.
I can't imagine any technical person who would not want to contribute in an environment where they have access to the best tools that science and technology provides today, and working for, you know, improving those systems in the area that they are interested in, whether it is structural engineering, physics, chemistry, biology, whatever it is. So I think it is rather the other way around. I don't think there would be lazy people at all, and I think we would most likely have more candidates, you know, willing to participate in those cities that we can actually house.
Yeah, it's the same question with, you know, what if someone is violent in this city? As we see that as being greatly reduced, again, as the conditions that create that behavior are greatly reduced. But say hypothetically it were to happen and we were to find someone who had that kind of aberrant behavior, they wouldn't be punished, they would be helped. So if someone was viewed as lazy, you know, more people would have more tools and communicative ability and power to do something about that, and maybe convince them not to be lazy anymore. But say it was a mental defect or problem with their brain, then we would still, again, if we have the resources available, we would just help them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Next question comes from Gumok, Czech Republic. Which technological standards would be used in buildings and machinery for First City, and would current standards be revised and changed? Am I right in that it would be decided when First Cities will be constructed? And we once again consulted admin at thevenusproject.com for this, and the answer is as follows. The standards that are used today might not be sufficient in terms of level of quality. The standards would be defined in the design phase prior to construction in order for the engineers and specialists to be able to demand required quality based on the standards. There would be much discussion and evaluation needed before any physical construction takes place. Moving on, next question comes from Marek, Slovak Republic. Today we have hotel rooms, rock concerts, airplanes, etc., which have fixed number of seats, rooms, etc. In monetary system, this is resolved by money and quickness of buyer. How will this be resolved in resource-based economy?
So in this system, we're trained to use money to get things, seats and whatever else, rooms and transportation to acquire that. But if you remove that mechanism, obviously they're wondering how things will be organized, situated, how will we understand, how many people will be allowed into an event, say there's a concert or, transportation. Again, we're trying to increase all of that so there's much more availability to more people, regardless of money. Money actually prevents us from doing a lot of the things that we want to do, from going to concerts or traveling in other countries. But again, if you increase the ability to do so using, again, science and technology, then money becomes even more obsolete than it already is. So again, that would be resolved.
There's also possible technical solutions for this. Say, if we don't think about if the concert doesn't need to be in a on a stadium or some big space, we could provide virtual reality equipment such as, for example, Oculus Rift, where you could experience somewhat, the same thing that you do in a rock concert without actually having to go to another physical place. So it's a technical problem like most every problem we face today.
Yeah, or if there is an event, some social concert or something that a lot of people would be anticipated wanting to go to, there would be the easiest solution would be send out a survey, get a general idea of how many people would want to go, and then set up a venue accordingly. Obviously, again, we're trained and we're so limited in our thinking, asking the question, how much is it going to cost, when really that would be an irrelevant question. It's, do we have the resources, and we would have much more possibilities available to us.
Right. Okay. Anything else to add to that?
Yeah, I just wanted to add shortly that this question derives from this culture, and what you have to realize that in RBE there won't be rock stars and concept of and music icon, and now usually those kinds of events are based on limited, like Michael said, limited amount of available tickets. But in an RBE there will be a survey, and we will see how many people would like to see that person performing live, and provide as many events as needed for everybody to see it, and that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Next question comes from K. Felipe, Brazil. Jacque mentioned a mainstream movie to get people aware of a new way of thinking. Is it progressing? Could this be crowdfunded? People are working with the same idea at wakingupmovie.com. Do you think TVP could join forces? If so, where to start?
Yeah, we have an answer directly for Roxanne for this, which I'm going to read out loud. But before we go into it, I'd just like to add a couple of things. Basically, we would like for everybody or anybody that has the idea of making basically any kind of project that they would need funding for or whatever that they think is TVP related, to please send their detailed emails with the project or with the idea, and possibly with a CV as well, to admin@thevenusproject.com, so that any project that is worthy of the Venus Project's participation would actually be with the direct involvement of the Venus Project. So that kind of goes for everything. As far as joining forces, TVP will join forces only with organizations that have the same goals, and unfortunately there are not enough or not a lot of organizations like that. Okay, this is Roxanne's answer. I'm just gonna read it. This is from September 24th, so fairly recent, 10 days ago. She says, yesterday we submitted a project for Kickstarter asking for funds for a 3-part documentary series with Joel Holt and herself. We'll be hopefully making if the campaign is successful. This new series will be presented on the internet for free as we finish each section. We financed Paradise for Oblivion ourselves, but we cannot do so with this one. Many of you are aware that we are working on a major movie as well. We are pleased to say that the first draft of the script is finished and registered. We are working with a producer who is developing a budget for the film and will soon be showing it to acquire funding, actors, a director, and others who will be associated with it. The producer is quite excited about it and is anxious to start filming as soon as possible. Hopefully this will be first of many films about the future within a resource-based economy as Jacque has envisioned. There have been hundreds of movies about people slaughtering each other and many about disastrous future scenarios. There needs to be many more about positive and sane possibilities which are possible if the Venus Project is given a chance to flourish. So this was a post from Facebook that was on Roxanne's wall and also on the Venus Project Global. And as far as the reference for the first Kickstarter project, it actually came out today. So we're going to link that to you, and it's in the Kickstarter.com. So the choice is ours, is the project name or the documentary name. And I think that there's already about a fifth or a quarter of the money. I think it was already donated today, so you can check that out. We're going to link it in the description.
All right. Next question comes from him in London. Are there plans to get a simulation/game where someone could experience cities in a GTA way? Perhaps this eventually could even be made into a fundraising MMORPG. And there has been questions about possible game before, and we have answered this question in, was it Q&A 6? I think it was.
Yeah.
In any case, we'll be linking the time index of that video in the description, and you can check out the answer to this and any game-specific question from there. Next question comes from Zane Biller, Clarksville, I don't know what, Tennessee?
Yeah.
Okay. Money. What is the best way to raise it, according to Jacque, in order to move along all agendas and projects of TVP? Should volunteers start crowdsourcing everything on Indiegogo or Kickstarter, for example?
Yeah, this question kind of links to the question that I was answering before. So yes, Kickstarter is an option. We have done one before, and this one is now for the documentary series. But I would like to reiterate again that please do not do anything in the Venus Project's name on your own. So basically, even same goes for the game question. You know, if you're really a programmer, a game designer, or whatever, and you want to do something that would have, you know, resource-based economy in mind, then, you know, we would ask you to please contact admin at the Venus Project. Again, send, you know, a detailed proposal and try and cooperate with us, because that's the best exposure that we can get, you know, and I think that's the best way to go too. We're not really fond of people just crowdsourcing things or starting campaigns on their own. So please join us.
Right, and there's also, mostly because there's the risk that since many people have an idea, and it's often the case that they are working on the same idea but on their own, so there's double the work being done, where it could be done much more efficiently if it was coordinated as one bigger effort.
Exactly.
Okay, next question comes from K, India. Question: abuse of science and knowledge. In TVP model, there is no monetary system or government, and so no laws. So would powers of sciences be abused without any check or restrictions, like it is checked in today's world? Well, laws are inadequate mechanisms to control behavior. In fact, what we deem as laws are nothing more than man-made rules and regulations that are constantly broken. If you want to think about laws as in something that in certain condition cannot be broken, you have to take a look at nature, such as physics or chemistry, where some sort of phenomenon always happens in certain very specific conditions. And you know, there's tons of examples of detrimental systems that are completely legal. Military industry, banking, all sorts of exploitation things like
lobbying.
Yeah, multi-level marketing, which is essentially it's a pyramid scam or scheme.
Both.
Yeah. So, and would powers of science be abused without any check? What you have to take into account or consider that what humans do, there's what I can think of, or it seems to me that there's three main factors that define what humans do. First, values. Human values, what we think is, you know, useful or whatever. That's the first thing. Then next, method of thinking, and third, available technology. So due to today's values and method of thinking, technology is grossly misused and abused in mostly in military applications. You know, you can take a jet engine and put it on a jet fighter or a drone, or you can put it on a passenger airplane, or you can take a helicopter and mount it with weapons, or you can make it as an emergency transportation, you know, medical transportation or something like that. So there's more about this very relevant information in the book called Looking Forward, and the example about values, method of thinking, and available technology is given on page 25. The book is available for download without charge on the Venus Project website. So, yeah. The next question comes from the same submitter, K, India. Safety concerns from science. Experiments and researchers, if proven successful, are tested. Only after tests prove harmless, that scientific product can go to society. Would such experimental inventions be safer in TPP world? And to this I can say soundly yes, because in today's world, all you have to take a look at the gross inadequacy or difference in military funding and research funding. Researchers and scientists have to scrape whatever funds they can get from their own back, and even then it is not enough, and that means that they cannot get the equipment and devise their experiments in the most safe and you know, meaningful way. But in resource-based economy, we are no longer held back by such imaginary human inventions as money. We will just do what we can based on actual physical resources and what scientific and technological know-how allows at any given time.
Yeah, this person seems rightly very concerned with the abuse of power and science, because obviously it's a powerful tool. And in the system we currently live in, yes, it is very much so abused. And the question or the factors that we're trying to deal with are what causes that. We're trying to remove the incentive for that. And since this society is based largely on stratification and inequality, then that is a huge factor that contributes to the abuse of power and trying to maintain a position of higher advantage and ability than other people.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the next question comes from Christian, Slovenia. Jacque makes a lot of comparisons based on observations of nature. Why doesn't he explain things more scientifically, like professors at universities? I feel sometimes like I don't get proven information, although I believe in RBE concept.
Okay, like we said many times before, RB, I mean, the Venus Project is a holistic system, so it is it derived from many different branches of science. So it would be really impractical to speak in scientific terms because very few people would understand you, and since it's so complicated to explain it, it is harder actually to find a simple way of explaining it to people, no matter where they came from, because like I think it was Albert Einstein who said, if you can't explain it simply, that means that you don't understand it well enough. So I think that that is what actually leads Jacque and now all of us in trying to communicate the RB to all the people to be as simple as possible, because academic discourse is just not practical. Not everybody could understand what you're talking about, but if you have any doubts about the things that he's talking about, you can of course question it, question us, write us if you have any doubts, and explore, of course, explore on your own, educate yourself. That's...
Yep.
Okay. Next question comes from Dead Mouse. Would it be possible for Jacque to say a few words on each of the books on the recommended reading list to explain the importance of them in regards to understanding an RBE better?
And obviously, Jacque can't speak at length on any, on all of the books. There's so much of it, which may seem a little daunting to people, since there may be a lot of information that people don't know. But they're generally broken down to categories as far as behavior, language, science and technology, communication, things like that. And obviously, I think the reason why those things are so important to understand, or rather, they should be obvious. But yeah, as far as how they work in this system versus how they work in the system that we're proposing is where people are trained to kind of generally only understand one or two key areas or fields, and they may think they understand behavior in a certain way, but obviously there is a lot of misinformation out there and a lot of ancient concepts and older ways of thinking and traditions that we're obviously trying to update and trying to educate ourselves and others with. So all of the material in there you may already be familiar with, in which case, focus on whatever appeals to you. If you're interested in a certain area that you already know and want to learn more about that, then focus on the behavior books. Or if you don't know as much about communication, that's more challenging, learning things that we don't know or that we think we already know. But yeah, learning to see it in a new way or learning new tools.
Yeah.
And also, consider this. Would you be able to evaluate the contents of a book based on one page of the content? I mean, there's only so much you can compress a message until it loses the context and meaning.
Especially when it comes to scientific books.
Yeah.
Yes.
Practically impossible.
Right.
Yeah, some of those can be really wordy and really long and unnecessarily complex. I found since Jacque has studied all of those already and kind of put together this system, he's made like cliff notes for all of that information. I still think the best that money can't buy is the best book I've ever written. I've ever read. It sounds, I'm sure people are sick of hearing about it, but it's true. If you haven't read it, it's quite impressive.
Okay, moving along. Next question comes from Christian, Slovenia. Jacque said that there is no purpose for humans to have eyes because without light we can't see. Why then we have senses if there is no purpose for it? All animals have some kind of. If there wouldn't be any light, eyes wouldn't develop. Now they did.
Yeah, it's a tough question, basically. So we're gonna link some relevant things to it anyway, as well. But yeah, just they did develop because, like the last part of the question says, they did develop, and it was because of environmental effects. So basically, it doesn't mean that we made or we willed it to happen because we are some superior in some way. It's just that we have the eyes. They evolved, and so did the other senses, and we use them. So it doesn't give the purpose in the words or in the sense that people perceive it, because that's something that is generally just thought as true. We have eyes to see with, ears to hear with, which is true. We do hear and see with these senses, but they're not there for us because we wanted them to do those things. They're just there and we use them. So that's the bottom line that Jacque tries to convey, and it's hard to understand from just somebody explaining to you. You really need to get a little more in depth into it. So perhaps a whole lecture on that topic would be beneficial. So we're going to reference a couple of things here in the description. So take a look at it. One is from Forbes, Nature or Nurture video. Yeah, it's a very good one. And then also 2 books. One is The Origin of Species. That's by Charles Darwin. I mean, it's basic and as fundamental as you can get. And then also a newer one, The Greatest Show on Earth, The Evidence of Evolution by Richard Dawkins, which will give you more information on the topic and, just how the mechanisms of evolution have provided or, got us to where we are right now.
And then something quick to say about evolution. There are a lot of people who think that it only applies to biological things, but really evolution in other more understandable terms means simply change over time. For example, you have the evolution of a cell phone, and it changes over time. That's evolution in technological area. Then you have social evolution, say blacks' rights. Today we don't have to fight, at least to the same extent, for blacks' rights than we had to in, say, 100 years ago. Okay, yeah, that was the last question.
Yep.
So, again, I'll post the Google moderator for, or in the description of this video, and it will be open from 1800 UTC on
Monday? On Sunday, sorry.
Yeah, on Sunday, so
And
this
it's
is October 6th, 1800 UTC, open from that to October 27th, 2359 UTC.
Yeah.
Okay, anything?
Yeah, I would just like to say to everybody that we kickstarted a campaign for our new project, the 3 new documentaries. So please share the link to it, and if you can, help us.
Yeah, and the next Q&A session is going to be on November 3rd on Sunday, same time.
Okay.
All right.
Until next time.
Until next time.
Bye.
Take care. Thanks.
Bye.